Manuel Bolly is a men's coach and author and the founder of Holistic Manhood. What happened within that destruction?
Well, you're basically chasing pleasure, honestly, because you're chasing hookups. I always say that this is spiritual annihilation because you're doing yourself a harm and you're harming other women, especially with bad intentions.
He specializes in helping men build loving relationships to themselves and to their partner. This means building mental strength, overcoming fears, healing from past traumas, becoming grounded in oneself, being aware of one's emotional triggers, and much more.
I was suicidal. I thought about killing myself, and I was okay if I wanted to continue. And I was like, yeah, I want to continue. And I thought to myself, okay, I want to actually make something better. Like, I always wanted to have a great family, great healthy family, because I also didn't grow up in great circumstances. So that was always a big goal of mine. And I told to myself, okay, listen, if I don't do something right now, I'm gone.
Manuel has been an absolute go-to for myself and for many men in this space. Did you retain your semen for 9 months? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
And how did that affect your life? So, Manuel, you talk a lot about masculinity, healthy masculinity. My first question to you is, can you tell me about a time where you weren't practicing healthy masculinity, and what did your life look like at that point?
Well, it has been a long journey, So starting from early adolescence, like it is with most men, with no direction, no vision, no purpose. So that's, I believe, the first step of your development. And many men like myself get into a even worse state after that, honestly. I'm not sure if you're aware of the red pill.
Mm-hmm.
And I do talk about it a lot because I think it has good sides, but it also has a lot of negative sides. And when you get into it in a very vulnerable stage, and this is something I'm still working on, and you're getting bombarded with all those negative affirmations like all women cheat, all women monkey branch, and basically spinning plates and all that type of stuff. So that's a negative form of masculinity. It has some positives, right? It gives you, or it tells you, to work on your self-worth, to become more confident, to work on your body, to work on your mind, to improve yourself. So that's all the good stuff. But with spinning plates and all of that, I simply don't agree with it anymore. So those are the two stages. Like, I like to explain it in a way like, first you're basically blue pilled, then you're red pilled, and the next step is God pilled or divine pilled. So it's basically the worst days, honestly, haven't been my blue pilled days. Like, those were the lesser harmful days. But what was more destructive and self-destructive was actually the red pill.
What happened within that destruction?
Well, you're basically chasing pleasure, honestly, because you're chasing hookups. And I always say that this is spiritual annihilation because you're doing yourself a harm and you're harming other women, especially with bad intentions. Like, I'm not sure how aware you are of this, but you often kind of manipulate and make false hopes just to maintain your rotation and all of that. And it really just causes bad blood, and it's really just bad for the spirit.
Yeah, you're not living in line with your integrity.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. How did you become realigned with integrity?
Well, it has been, it's all a path, I'm still detaching from the negative sides of the red pill. I gotta say that. Like, I just
Aren't we all?
really recently got a lot into religion. Like, just recently, I really started believing into God. Like, I believed into the universe and law of attraction and all of that before that, but now I really believe in God. And it's still
Why is that?
It's intention, honestly. You just it feels right. You know, you just dig deeper into it, especially with all the knowledge I already had from learning about psychology, evolutionary psychology, getting more into dating, more into also law of the universe, or yeah, law of the universe. And then you dig into the Bible and you see that it's very similar actually, and that all the informations you have gathered elsewhere are already written in the Bible actually.
Hmm. So how's your life changed then, having brought God into the equation?
Very positively, honestly. Like, especially when it comes to being anxious and stressed, as well as building more positive relationships. Like, those are the two major points. I've always been, and I believe most men who are young live a very stressful life and really put a lot of pressure on themselves, and maybe even have a lot of fear of failure. And if you trust God, like, if you know, okay, hey, listen, I'm a good man, I do the best to my abilities, I trust in God, like, things will simply fall in place.
Is your idea of God simply a higher power, or do you believe that there's an actual being there?
Let's say I don't believe in a white man with beard, but I do more believe in a higher power. Like, that's something I'm still digging. As I said, like, just starting to dig deeper into religion, and I just see it as a higher power. I say I don't care how you call it. Call it Allah, call it God, call it the universe, right? But something exists.
Hmm. Yeah, and it's to almost you submit yourself to that higher power at times of vulnerability,
Absolutely, yes, absolutely,
and this guides you a certain direction or offers some sort of insight or answers or clarity of purpose.
yes. Also,
Hmm.
like, as especially, I'm more of I don't want to consider myself a dating coach. I'm a man's coach, but with a emphasis on dating, and especially when it comes to dating and giving general advice. Okay, how do you act in a relationship? It's all there, it's all written. How do you act as a man, like, outside of a relationship? What are our masculine virtues? All in the Bible.
Hmm. The reason I'm asking so many questions about that is because I've interviewed many men's coaches here on this podcast, and many of these are in a similar situation as yourself, where they're detaching from the red pill and moving towards what you may call the higher power gold pill, whatever it is that you'd like to uh, term that phrase. And I've noticed that many of them are also bringing God into the equation. Now, again, the other reason I'm asking the question is this is not something I've done. I've not found God or maybe even seeked him out. But having these types of conversations with yourself and others does bring some curiosity to my life in terms of something I may be lacking to bring me to the next level. And do you feel that's something that has enabled you to get to the next level?
Absolutely, yes. Like, generally, I wouldn't say technically getting more religious, but always that spiritual belief. Like, it has always been a guidance. It has always, like, I'm a firm believer. Like, still, I do. As again, call it how you want. You may call it God's grace, or you may call it law of attraction. But I do believe in it. I do
Mm-hmm.
believe in it, that, and I always say that you attract what you align yourself with. And it also helped me a lot. Like, I've always believed that, okay, if I work on myself, if I align myself with, if I use that affirmations, and if I work to justify, of course, I will get there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always been a spiritual belief that has guided me through all of this.
Yes, I get you now. I'm probably there with you. I just, if I don't know if uncomfortable is the right word, but I have my misconceptions with the word God. And maybe that's because of how we were brought up to perceive God as this, as you mentioned, this guy with the white beard. So for me, energy is very important. I think that's something you're speaking about, is bringing your own energy frequency up to a higher level, which can be done through some spiritual work, some inner work. And that's something I've done. And, but I simply wouldn't call it finding God or finding a higher power. I think the power is within, and it's a matter of cultivating the power within so that your life on the outside becomes a lot more powerful, or you, again, powerful may be the wrong term there, but you have an effect on the world instead of the world having an effect on you, if you know what I mean. So that makes sense.
It makes sense. Yes.
You can relate to that.
I can relate to that, and I even agree with it. Like, you're, excuse that, you're basically describing inner work, which is also important, right? And it's everything is really complex, and I've read a lot of books, a lot of psychiatric literature, and the topic of God has also something a lot to do with it. And I've read about several cases in which acceptance of God led to betterment, and in some cases the belief in God has led to bad conditioning. So it both exists.
Mm.
You know, as you said, it is important to, because you said, basically take responsibility and do the work within. And when I say, okay, trusting God, I don't mean that, for example, okay, life is happening to you, that, okay, you can't do anything about it. So, like, God is just, you know, doing what he wants to do and you have no power over it. That's not what I mean with it. It's just technically having faith, believing, especially, again, maybe God, it may be, yeah, trusting God, it can be, okay, trust in the process. But whatever it is, just think about that there will be a positive outcome. Don't tell yourself, oh, my life is bad because I don't do my prayers. I will suffer because I'm a sinner, da da da. Like, that doesn't serve anything. And that's not the point of faith, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, I understand. And I read one of your tweets there a while ago that chasing excellence requires sacrifice. So, as you chase excellence in your own life, what are some of the things you've had to sacrifice in order to attain that, or in order to move towards that?
Primarily a lot of time and money, of course, but primarily time. Let's face it, if you are a young man, and by the way, um, I'm 24 years old. I know you have that in front of you, but never mind. So I'm still a young man, and what do young men do in my age, right? You have parties, you have that, you hang out, hanging with the boys, playing video games, enjoying, as a quote unquote, enjoying life, right? And even family events, you know, like I've birthdays, holidays. I missed a lot of them simply because I was, hey, saying, hey, I need to focus on building my business. I need to focus on myself. Time with friends. Like, I had a time where I went 9 months full in, all in, and went on semen retention, didn't date. And I even only met my friends every 3 months, you know, so I was basically completely almost isolated. So it's a lot of time which I will need to sacrifice, and also the money in education, buying those books, buying those courses, getting yourself a mentor, gym memberships, etc. You know?
Did you retain your semen for 9 months? Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
And how did that affect your life? Because this is obviously a massive, could we call it a trend at the moment, a masculine trend potentially, the no fap. And there's a lot that favor it, and there's a lot that deem it as unnecessary. So, having done 9 months of it,
I preach it,
what
honestly.
was your experience like? Yeah.
It was very interesting. Actually, primarily, like only positive. Of course, in the moment, it is not so positive. But looking back at it, you first of all, let's talk about the benefits. You gain extreme drive, extreme focus, also more confidence. Um, in general, not watching porn will lead to healthier relationships, especially sexual. You will have more attraction towards women, are more interested in having healthy relationships with them. And again, as I said, the drive, the motivation, the focus. And the bad thing, like, which is actually a good thing, but in the moment it's bad, you also have a complete reverse of it. Like you have, I'm not sure how it's called. It's flatline. It's called flatline,
Mm.
nofap flatline. And that's basically a reverse of the positive effects. And that's really something that has helped me getting to know myself better, because I learned in those 9 months why, what the reason was why I was actually relapsing. Because you get all those feelings, right? And then you start listening. Okay, why am I feeling that way? That can be depression, that can be feelings of loneliness, etc. Extreme lust, of course.
So the flat line is the extreme test where you either pass or fail. Ultimately, is it? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Where all the pain comes to the surface that you've been escaping through these pleasures of ejaculation or porn or hookups or women.
Yes, it is. I describe it that the flat line is the first big sign that your brain is rewiring. You've primarily because of dopamine also, because when you watch porn, when you masturbate, you of course release massive amounts of dopamine. And when you no longer when you're no longer doing that, your brain goes, hey, what's up with that? And then you may feel down, feel depressed, feel low motivation. But of course, it's also, as I said, feelings of loneliness, because maybe you're single, you're on your own. Many people use PMO to feel intimacy. Orgasm serves not just pleasure, but also for intimacy. A lot of men do that
What's
as well.
what's what's PMO?
Burn masturbation orgasm.
Okay. Oh yes, yes, yes. All right. I've never heard that term before. Okay. Very good. So, from your own perspective, how did you manage to hang in there for 9 months? Like what? Like that's serious discipline. I haven't done 9 months. I might have done 9 weeks. 9 months, no. And that's a serious discipline. And I'd imagine you had to link that pursuit to an extremely high purpose or extremely defined purpose in your life to get you through.
Abs- yeah.
Was that it?
Absolutely. Like, why did I start doing it? First of all, because at that time, I was really unhappy with my life. I was working a job I hate, but I was building my online business. So I told myself, okay, hey, I need to do something. I really hate this job. I need to lock down on it. And those 9 months, like, helped me progress so much. I was able to quit that job within 2 years of just starting my online business, and locking in for those 9 months was just of tremendous help. And that's also, of course, where the energy went. It was the first time where I was at the very beginning of my online business journey, and when I was writing my first book. And in those 9 months, I completed writing my first book. So that's where all the energy went into.
Amazing. That's yeah. I'm smiling when you say the book because that's something I did once I wrote my third book, which is coming out this year. Was no fap for a couple of months until I got that book complete, and yeah, massive clarity, focus, drive, as you mentioned, all of those. And I experimented with it. Obviously, we hear this term being thrown around a lot, and when it comes to something like that, I'll try it, see if it works. If it works, yes, I'll continue to do it. If it doesn't work, I'll park it because I don't believe everything works for everybody. So I can tell you, yeah, the book was written in 2 months through my immense drive and determination and focus and clarity, so that's my experience with it. But what did your relationships look like over that 9 month period? Like, did you have women in your life, or was that something that you also parked?
Absolutely. I was single at that time. It was in my red pill time, so I was spinning plates before, but I was still single. And when I went on semen retention, I just didn't date at all. No woman. As I said, I barely met my own friends anymore in that time. So no, like maybe I saw a woman in the gym or something like that, but I didn't meet up with them intentionally.
Yeah, that's the real test, isn't it? When those thirst traps are placed in front of you.
Well, sometimes it depends. Sometimes it's very hard, but I must say that in those, like in that time, I really had something else in my mind. Like sometimes you just have a different priority and you don't care about women at all. Like it was easier than expected, honestly.
Hmm.
Yes, of course, you will feel lust, you will feel horny, da da da. You were men, right? But when you're in a place where you tell yourself, okay, I need to get out of this situation, you don't even want to date a lot or have a
Yeah,
lot of sex, and
it's
you don't.
distraction. Yeah,
Yes, and it even lowers your libido. You know, if you're really stressed and really unhappy with your life, you don't want to have sex in the first place. So that was a big help. It was, again, it was easier than expected.
hmm. So how has your attitude towards women changed since then?
Very positively. First of all, like you need to understand a little bit of background. Like I was highly addicted to porn. Like I sometimes I fapped 3 times per day and stuff like that. And of course, with the red pill, spinning all those plates, having all those options, it didn't like I didn't watch porn and masturbate to it, but I technically used womanizing masturbation device, so not a lot, like not better at all.
Yeah,
And after those 9 months of semen retention, I saw them differently. Like I didn't most of women I didn't even look at with lust. Like that is something where I really trained my mind to not look at all this thirst trap, as you said in the gym. Like you see all this women running around. I didn't even care anymore.
yeah. Because through an excessive amount of porn use, you begin to pornify women.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then in the absence of porn, and through that healing process, you began to change your perspective on women and see them as something different, which
Well,
is
more human beings, you know.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah. And what was the turning point there? You were in a job that you hated, and then I know I know it wasn't a sudden decision, but you're in a job that you hate. You're addicted to porn. You're stuck in this red pill attitude as to how to live your life and how to navigate yourself through this world. And then you're doing 9 months of semen retention. You're writing a book. You're developing an online business. You, you've established a high purpose in your life. How 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 did that happen? What was the turning point?
What do you believe the turning point was?
It could be anything.
Could it be
Depression.
anything? No, no,
Depre-
no. Well, that
depre-
was also like I was also depressed, but okay, let's say the turning point.
a breakup.
Yeah. Like it is with most young men, you
Yes.
know,
Okay.
you're just first of all you're blind, of course, you know. You're blue pills. You're not seeing the things as they really are. You're getting born into the middle class. You like you have no idea of the world. You're a young man, you know,
True.
and you just get your job. Like first of all, go to school, get your job, and when you don't, when I believe when something doesn't happen, like you need to have an emotional event. Doesn't need to be a breakup, but an emotional event. You will stay the same. You will stay in that cycle. You will just be in the middle class, do the same as your parents did, get kids, put them into school, da da da. And the cycle continues. But when you have that emotional event, you start to wake up simply. It was in my case, it was like, okay, listen, I gotta do something about my life right now. Because as I said, I told you at the beginning, I'm very honest. I was suicidal. I thought about killing myself. And I was okay if I wanted to continue. And I was like, yeah, I want to continue. And I thought to myself, okay, I want to actually make something better. Like I always wanted to have a great family, great healthy family, because I also didn't grow up in great circumstances. So I like that. That was always a big goal of mine. And told to myself, okay, listen, if I don't do something right now, I'm gone. And
Hmm.
that was like, okay, then I started hitting the gym. Then I started getting into self improvement. And then I started accumulating wisdom, working on my mindset, and all that stuff. And that business, like building my own business, was 2 years later. First of all, you got to have a competence.
Hmm. What did that difficult background consist of?
It was abusive, physically abusive.
Go on.
Well, first of all, you need to understand both of my parents are heavy narcissists. So that, of course, is very difficult when you're a child. They were too unhealed or too busy with dealing with their own stuff to support their own children. And my father was physically abusive.
Mm.
So I always say in suboptimal circumstances, but it's really bad, and it's really bad when you grow up in those circumstances, and you will have to do a lot of healing. You will have to work a lot on yourself to get over all of this.
Yeah. Hence the porn use, because the porn was never the problem. It was the pain behind the porn that was the problem. The lack of emotional intimacy that you were neglected of in your childhood, which you then craved
Correct.
later on in your life. Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
So was it through the process of retention that you went through that healing process too? Or was there other aspects or avenues that you also ventured down in order to heal that part of your life?
What exactly do you mean? Like heal that porn addiction, or what part?
Heal the pain behind the porn addiction. Obviously, you come from a very painful childhood, which had a ripple effect onto your adulthood. So having to go back there and heal the childhood wounds, what did that look like?
It's a continuous process, and I believe like I'm not even fully healed yet. Like as you know, those things when you grow up and have a childhood like this, those things are very deeply ingrained. You may be aware of them, but they're not fully healed yet. And it's just a continuous progress. It's getting better, better, better. And it's 100 times, like 1000 times better. But you still have certain triggers, like certain triggers from traumas you had, like maybe your parents did that and that, or maybe they neglected you, then you get into a relationship, your partner does something similar that triggers you, etc. So that's all, it's a continuous progress. And it's basically just building blocks. It's many, many things. It's self-awareness, building yourself, getting confident in yourself, getting grounded in yourself. Also making something out of your life. As I said, it's not just hitting the gym, working on yourself. It's creating a life you genuinely enjoy to live, and also working with a therapist, or with a coach who can help you, who can give you greater insights, who can give you the right tools to cope with that. So it's a
Mhm.
lot of things that go into that.
What are some of those tools that you use now?
biggest or the best tool, the tool that helped me the most, was positive reframing. Positive reframing technically means, for example, okay, I had a bad childhood, but that bad childhood turned me into the person I am today. Um, the reason that my parents couldn't take care of myself is now the reason that I am so successful, that I can do everything by myself, etc. Same with relationships. Okay, the relationship breakup, like the breakup, it was deep emotional pain, but that breakup led me to being who I am today, a successful man who loves his life, loves himself, and has a healthy relationship now.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it's basically about seeing the positives in it.
Hmm. Find the gratitude in the difficult situations in your life, which are ultimately the lessons in the experience that you can use to improve your situation and improve your life, which you have done so. So,
Correct.
so if there was a man going through a similar shitstorm as you were going through in your late teens, early 20s, what would be the first step you'd recommend he takes? He could be going through a breakup and heartbroken over this woman. He could be addicted to porn. He could have suicidal thoughts or be depressed. You've gone through every one of these. You have information and you've developed tools and strategies and awareness based on your experiences. So, what strategies or what steps could you offer this man or these men who are going through similar situations today?
The best thing you can do, like you gave a lot of examples, and there are different things you can or should do in those situations. But the best thing you can do, honestly, is get yourself either a coach or a therapist. I'm a big fan of it because, like, I did a lot of that myself, but it's so much easier and so much faster if you get somebody, and especially that's what you often need in that situation. If you're going through something bad, like, okay, it's, let's say you had that abusive childhood, or you went through that breakup, and yes, society said, like, it I recently talked about this. We're told to bottle it up until you kill yourself, and it's honestly often just having that person you can talk to and open up to already relieves you from a lot of pain.
Hmm. Yeah, lightens the load when you share it.
Correct. So I it's a lot of, like, if that's just at the verge of being overwhelming, right? And you get yourself that coach, you get yourself that therapist, or you even talk to a friend,
Hmm.
it holds you back, like it gets you back down.
Yeah. So going back to this 9 month process, that's over now. Yeah.
That's over. Yes, that's over a long time ago. Like, that was around little longer than a year ago.
Okay. So when it eventually happened, did anything change afterwards? Did you, or how did it happen? Was it in a relationship? Was it with a woman? Did you have to give yourself permission to do that? I'm, the reason I'm asking is because you invest 9 months into this extremely disciplined pursuit of retaining your semen. And it's almost, I feel you can almost get to the point where you want to hold on to that. You want to hold on to this clarity, focus, drive that you've developed over that 9 month period. And that can come with a fear of losing it all if you let yourself go. So was letting yourself go a challenge?
Um, Not really, honestly. As you said, like, I had those thoughts. Okay, do I really want to get into this? Because mental clarity, focus, drive, and do I really want to sleep, especially casually around? But this was that was the turning point, by the way,
Mm.
which I was no longer spinning plates then. So I started dating, right? Yes. So I gave myself the permission to date again, because the objective had been completed. Like, my goal was to finish that book, And I told myself, okay, when that book is done, I'm free, right? Quote unquote, I'm free. I can do whatever I want. Like I can start dating again. But again, I wasn't interested in spinning plates anymore. So I actually started dating with the intentions of getting into a relationship. And that's when, yeah, I like no fab was always part of it. And when it wasn't semen retention, I was sleeping with somebody.
Okay. Which was a healthy relationship.
After that semen retention, yes, or at least it was better. Like, of course, I still did some mistakes, you know.
Okay.
Sometimes still lust took over. Sometimes I slept with women who I shouldn't have slept with, and all of that. But it was getting better.
Hmm. How do you deal with those setbacks? Are you quite critical of yourself, or have you developed a level of self compassion where you can give yourself a bit of a break and say, you know what, it's okay. You've made a mistake. You're a human being. Pick yourself back up again and let's go. Or
Well, both of it.
both. Yeah.
You gotta be your like. I'm really critical to myself. I'm my biggest critiker. But at the same time, you need to be self compassionate. You know, if you make a mistake, that's part of the process. Like, there's no reason to beat yourself down because of it. So
Okay.
yes, you gotta be hard to yourself. You gotta you gotta say, listen, that was a mistake. That shouldn't happen again, or will not happen again. But at the same time, it's part of the process.
Hmm. And just to bring it to the book, what does that book mean to you?
Um, I'm sure you know how you feel when you create something for the very first time. Like that's actually yours. That's actually the first thing, like the first way of selling my knowledge, giving my knowledge to other people. So it feels really great. It has come to a point like because it's a little bit outdated, because I also wrote about dating in it, but of course my mindset is completely different right now. And I tell myself, okay, I want to rewrite it, but at the same time I have all those other books ideas, and I was like, okay, take it down, you know, because I don't want to spread basically quote unquote misinformation or something which I don't agree anymore. But at the same time, it's like your child, man. It's yeah, you can't just take it down. It's
Yeah.
yours, you know. So it's really a hard decision. It really means a lot to me.
Okay. So it's still out there.
It's still out there, yes.
Where can these men find this book?
You can find it.
If you want them to find it.
Well, it is actually, I have revisited it and edited it again, primarily deleting stuff I don't agree, so not rewriting it, because I wrote two other books which are basically an extension of it.
Mhm.
But they can find it under holisticmanhood.com. This is where you can find all those links, all those books, and
Nice
you
one.
can just dig yourself into it.
Nice one. And what is the type of work that you do right now? Just so that the men of this podcast can understand what that is, what it looks like.
The type of work that I do, well, primarily I am an author. That's what I enjoy doing most. I've worked with hundreds of men, so I've coached one on one.
Mhm.
But I found that just writing books is something I enjoy so much more, because I can put my thoughts better into words on a piece of paper than speaking, especially because of the fact that it is not my first language. You know, writing in English, you know, you have a lot of time to think about what you want to write, to restructure the sentence. But it's just something I enjoy really much. But that's not like, I'm still coaching other men, so I'm a men's coach and author. Emphasis on writing books. I still want to write a lot of books. Still have tons of ideas what I want to write about, but also want to work with men, because I think it's important, because I think men need somebody as a mentor, as a therapist, whatever. And because it was the same for me, you know, I also found influencers, call them influencers, you know, it doesn't matter. Men's coaches who made YouTube videos, for example. And I watched those videos and I looked up to these men, and those men are the reason why I am here today, you know? So
Mhm.
that's why I want to do the same.
Man, I'm very excited for you. The fact that you're only 24 and seemingly quite new to the space, I think. And yeah, I can't wait for what's to come for you, man. You're going to have an incredible impact on the world, and you've created a brilliant impact on this podcast episode. And I thank you so much for your time and for your value. And once again, where can the men find you or connect with you? Your Instagram page, for example?
So first of all, I also appreciate it for inviting me over. Really was a great podcast.
Thank you,
Thank you very
brother.
much for taking time and inviting me over. And people can find me on Instagram. I run my brand under Holistic Manhood. You can find me everywhere: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. So just type in Holistic Manhood. Manuel Bolly is my real name, and you will find me.
Brilliant. Yeah, go check it out, man, because there's some brilliant content in there that will inspire you to grow and progress in your life. Thank you, Manuel. Until
Thank
next
you
time.
also.
Yes. Talk soon.